I'm Greg Johnson, President and CEO of Wellgreen Platinum.
Thank you very much for the tour of Wellgreen yesterday. You have an exciting project out there. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the project, how it came to Wellgreen?
Yeah, Wellgreen's a very interesting project. It was discovered all the way back in the 1950s when they were building the Alaska Highway, and it's had a history of buying exploration and development since it was put into production in the 1970s by Hudson's Bay Mining Company as a high-grade underground mine, and then since that point it's been looked at by a number of groups as a potential large-scale open pit operation, which is the focus for Wellgreen since we became involved in the project in 2010.
I understand you have quite a bit of history that you can look at in terms of drill results and people that have been looking at in the past. You've also got some placer operations in the area.
Yeah, it's been an area that's had extensive placer mining, so that's a really good indicator that you've got metals for gold as well as platinum. In addition, we've got some excellent work that's been done by previous companies that we can build on in terms of re-looking at the core, analyzing it with our current methods and techniques, and understanding what those historic drill results mean in the context of a new bulk mineable deposit in the system that we're looking at.
What's the geology of the area?
You know, we're looking at a system that is hosted in ultramafic rocks, and so these are relatively rare geologically. Most of the world's platinum and palladium is produced in South Africa, where the biggest concentration of these kind of deposits occur, and also in Russia. There's a couple of deposits in Canada, but it's quite rare to find these types of rocks and this kind of enrichment in the platinum group metals and nickel that we see at Wellgreen.
You said that the rocks contain, I think it was kind of a multitude of elements that would be of interest. It was the platinum group, it was the gold group, you also had some base metals in there as well.
Yeah, so we refer to these kind of deposits as polymetallic because they have multiple metals. Mm-hmm. So it's really the asset, the way we look at it today, is it will be a significant nickel and platinum group metal producer. So those they co-occur and they would be produced together. Our end product, most likely from the mine, would be a concentrate, where you basically grind up the rock material, you concentrate and separate out the metal-bearing elements into a product that's shipped to a smelter for final processing.
Where is how would you get the rock out of there, and where would that go, and what smelters would it go to?
Well, there's 8 large smelters globally. There's about 5 here in North America. There's a couple in Europe, a few in Asia. So we would be looking to ship our concentrate out of the port to the south of us in Alaska. That's a year-round ice-free port. And then take that to whichever of those major smelters made the most sense in terms of taking our product.
Looking at your mine plan, you've been looking at some other mines that had operations similar to yourselves. What are some of the models that you're using?
Yeah, so there's a number of mines that would be similar. Our project in many ways is similar to operating copper-gold deposits, such as we see in Western Canada. There's a number of projects that would be, very similar in that regard that people may be familiar with.
Why is it similar?
The scale of mining and the approach to mining. So you're looking at an open pit operation in our initial concept that's about 25,000 tons per day. So that's trucks and shovels hauling that material to the mill to be ground and produce a flotation concentrate. Operationally, it's also very similar to some of the mines in Finland, which process both nickel and PGMs. And there's a recent operation by First Quantum that we look at as very similar to Wellgreen called Kevitsa. And that's a mine that we looked at in terms of how they were approaching mining, and that went into our most recent economic assessment update.
I believe that also went into some of your hires as well, too, that they had experience with similar mine operations.
Yeah, that's right. Our chief operating officer has spent a better part of his career working in the Sudbury Basin, where there are similar nickel PGM deposits. So we were able to utilize his experience in these rocks, engage some of the leading experts in terms of mineral processing, and bring those folks who've worked on a number of projects around the world to take a look at the Wellgreen system and to really kind of optimize the recovery of our metals.
You're looking at, when you're doing your mine plan, there might be 2 aspects of it. It's going to be an open pit, but there might be some aspects of going underground.
Yeah, so we have an opportunity at Wellgreen because of the historic underground mining from Hud Bay. We have 4 different levels and about 4.5 kilometers of underground workings that are already in existence. So from an open pit point of view, it allows us to look at going after higher grade material pretty rapidly in the mine plan without a lot of capital investment. And that could be attractive in terms of increasing your grades of production, or even exploring for some of that higher grade material that could be deeper than you could get at relatively quickly in the mine.
What's it like working in the Yukon?
Yukon's a great jurisdiction to be working in. It's very pro-development, pro-mining. The government has recently announced improvements to the overall permitting process in terms of certainty and clarity and timelines. We find them to be very supportive of our industry.
Thank you very much for your time, Greg.
Thanks a lot for having us.